And then someone start to touch me, and then men handle me, like touching me everywhere, and then they start to cut open my clothes with scissors, stripped me naked completely, except for my blindfold and my earplugs. He start to put me in diapers, and then it dawned on me that I was not going home. I was going to prison.
What does it feel like to have a movie made about your life?
It's really like so like amazing, and I'm still digesting, because this is not in my wildest dream. I didn't dream I would have like a movie, about, I mean, how many people have a movie about their lives, I don't know too many people, I don't know anyone in person, or in my surrounding. And it's just a very big blessing to have your story told on the big screen and to reach this big audience, especially in our world now.
And it's not just any movie, right? It's Benedict Cumberbatch and Tamir Rahim and Jodie Foster, and then you were contributing to the set design and the production and all sorts. This is A-level, right? A-list stuff.
Absolutely. And I mean, Kevin won Oscars before. And yes, and I was involved. I mean, I didn't push myself on anyone. He just kept calling me and asking me questions, and I just kept like answering them. And yeah, like you said, also like I also coached Taha Rahim on the accent and so on and so forth. It was a lot of fun and pain at the same time.
How accurate would you say the movie is to what happened?
I mean, what we see in the movie is pretty accurate. No, except like Chris, you cannot put on screen like the first 70 days of sleeplessness. You cannot put that on the screen, because you just need an actor who stays without sleep for 70 days, consecutive days, and that's very painful.
Take us through your story then. Why has a Mauritanian man had a movie made about his life?
So this starts with very innocent phone call. It was like in late 98 or early 99. I don't remember, because I only knew about the call years later. So, and my cousin called me, and actually it was like very innocent call. He asked me to wire some money to his father, who was very sick in Mauritania, and then I lived in Germany. It was very easy for me, and of course I said, yeah, of course I would do that, no problem. And but there was a problem with the call. So the call was made from from a phone that belonged to UBL, and my cousin was a friend of UBL. I mean, they found years later that he was not involved in the atrocious attack against the United States on 9/11, but still, back then, this was before 9/11. And everything I did after that was interpreted as a vile act against the United States of America. Everything I said was interpreted in that way, that I was, quote unquote, a bad guy. And unbeknownst to me, I was, subject to so many investigations that I didn't know about. And then all the investigations done in Germany and in Canada, they found out that there was no evidence I did really something. And then I was so scared when our imam, that is our priest in the mosque, when he told me that the German police, some kind of police, like very high level police, like they came to him and they showed him my picture, and then he laughed. He said, what do you want to know about this guy? They said, yeah, we have some bad report that he's a bad guy. He was laughing, said, no, I know him in person. He's a very good guy. He wouldn't hurt a fly. They said that's what we think too, but there is a country that thinks that is a bad. He told me that, and I just panicked. I said I cannot stay in this country. So, and I had already my landed immigrant status in Canada, and I moved. I said when I moved to Canada, fresh start. No one knows me. Nothing. I would finish college, find job. Not I already finished college, but I want to study like PhD, and that's it. That's what I did, and it was so dumb because I didn't know that the intelligence, agencies were so like connected, and Canada was very close to the United States. So going there just proved the point of the United States that I was a bad guy. I was coming to Canada to help the US. And as luck had it, 1 month after my arrival, about 1 month, a guy decided to cross the border by the name of Ahmed Rassam and kill innocent people. His name is Ahmed Rassam. And he was they said on the note that he went to the same mosque I did. And this all like pointed toward my person. And then I don't know whether you saw this movie, very old movie called A Man with One Red Shoe by what's his name again? The guy, Cast Away.
Tom Hanks.
So, yeah, Tom Hanks. So he was, he was like suspected of being a Russian agent, and then everything he was doing was interpreted that way, and it was very funny. So, and then Canadian came to my house, tried to find out what was the deal. They couldn't find anything, but US said this guy is too smart. He doesn't leave any trail. We need to lure him to a place where there is no law, no rules, no gloves, and then we can get our way with him. Then they called my country, the intelligence of my country, and they told them, how can we get him back to Mauritania? And then they went to my family, to my mother. They said, you should call him back. Your son is in big trouble, and he needs to come back so we clear his name. She called me and she said she was sick. That was January of 2000. And I just start like, making arrangement. I bought my ticket, everything. And I had a feeling, I will be very exposed, but, I think we are driven a lot by emotions, like, I tell you an example, because I think I'm a very, like, reasonable person. I'm a person of reason, I believe in science, everything. Even though, like, I'm a religious person at the same time, kind of, but sometimes emotions overwhelm me. And the other day, like several weeks ago, they called me, they said, your sister has COVID-19. And then I said, COVID-19. And then I said, I want to visit her. The doctor said, you cannot visit her. So this is like stupid. And then, because it's so dangerous. And then I went and then I bought some like fruits, everything. And I went anyway to visit my sister. And then in midways, I was like crying in my heart, saying, this is my sister. What use of me being so healthy if my sister is so sick? And this is so like emotional and kind of stupid too, but I like willingly risk this very dangerous sickness to see my sister and to be beside her and show her like the support. Of course, I took precautions, put the mask, everything, and but I'm just showing you that I went, and I know there was a risk, but this was my mother who called me, she is sick. And I was picked up in Dakar. I was interrogated for 5 days. Senegalese said, there is no evidence against this guy. We cannot hold him. So you need, I said, I'm going back to Canada. I knew I'm going to be screwed really bad. So I said, I'm going back to Canada. The US said, no, you cannot go back to Canada. And they forced me into a plane. So now Senegal is like not, so was like more cooperating with them. They said, you are not going back to Canada, but they took my passport, they put me on a special plane, and then sent me to Mauritania. I was interrogated for about 1 month in all. And then Mauritanian came back to us and said, there is no evidence against this guy. So what should we do? And then they said, release him, but he cannot leave the country. So later they took my passport, my papers, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to, survive, because we cling to life so much, like no matter, like if you get abused, you still want to live. If you get like, I just, we just try to use our resources. And I was like highly educated, and I found a job, and I said, maybe one day they will find out I didn't do anything to them. They will let go of me, and I was like working long hours, and barely making the ends meet. This was like late 2000, and there was this like bubble burst, I think, from IT, and we didn't do well. The company, went down, everything, and I went to another company. And 9/11 happened. 9/11 happened. That was really, really bad time. And I was kidnapped. I was put in a plane by a special team, some of whom Jordanians. I know that because they spoke to me. And then some were in masks. 2 were in masks. I couldn't know who they were. So, and this was with the collaboration and conspiracy of my own government in violation of the Constitution that foresees that no citizen can be overhanded to another country, not to mention innocent citizens. At least there is no like evidence against them. I mean, to cut them some slacks. And and I saw death so many times. I remember the plane landing in Cyprus. I heard it over the phone, and I was wishing and hoping some custom agent or something board the plane and see me, and I would say, I'm guilty, please arrest me. But no one shows up. I felt death so many times, and I wasn't, I'm afraid of death, but I'm more afraid of dying itself, like believing in afterlife and the possibility that your afterlife wouldn't be as good. It's a very like scary thing. But dying, because I saw the uncle of my mother. I don't know what that called in English, and I saw him dying. He was a very strong man. He was a teacher, and I saw him withering away, getting weaker and weaker, and he couldn't take care of his own business. He was a very proud man. And then he started to smell because he couldn't take shower, And I saw that as a child, and this like was so, I will never forget that. So, and I was like picturing how much torture is going to take for me to pass away, to die. And then I stayed in Jordan for 8 months. Horrific, man. Like I wasn't like beaten. I was beaten only 2 times, but like just living in the fear, the prospect of torture, day in, day out for 8 months. It's really very heavy, And the problem, like when they start torture sessions, I could hear people like crying and so. And then it was just like someone piercing your ears. And then I start to to plug my ears with my, with my hands, but I hear louder when I plug my ears because the brain creates these sounds, horrific sounds. And I cannot describe to you living in pain, how painful it is, And there is no end. And there is no, like, I remember the day I was taken, before I was put on the plane. And I just came back from work. I was doing installation in the presidency, out of all places. They want to revamp their network, and they took our company. So I was the engineer who was in charge. I came back, it was Ramadan. Ramadan meaning fasting month. And I came back 4 p.m. I think it was around 4. Only my mother was home, like my sisters, brothers, only she and me. And came, in plain clothes. Said, you need to come with us. She told me, Mohamedou, in whisper, they take you, why? I said, no. They said, because of the TV, you watch TV. She doesn't want me to be involved in politics or discussion or anything. And then they took me. I said, no, it's going to be all right. I'm coming back. And then they took me, and then I was watching her at the rear view mirror as she disappeared, getting smaller and smaller. And I never forget her holding the prayer beads, frantically praying, until I turned right. I never saw my mother again, ever. And the thing that I never realized, I never appreciated the pain she was going through. Because I never had a son. I only had son like 2 years ago, Ahmed. And I cannot even imagine someone taking Ahmed away from me and taking him away with no reason. Like, this is not like Canada or like a Western country, a free country where the police has to show cause, meaning they said, we are taking your son because of 1, 2, 3, 4. This is painful still, but one can understand that you are in a society, and the society has rules, and you have to respect the rules if you want to live in the society. But nothing like that. Same thing in Jordan. I was not allowed to see the Red Cross. I was not allowed to call my embassy. Nothing. I was under the total mercy of people who work in the darkness, total darkness, away from podcasts, away from internet, away from TV, everything. Democracy dies in darkness. So after that, they came to me one day. And then one of the guards threw a trash bag, a black trash bag, one of the heavy duty, through the bean hole. The bean hole is prison parlance for a very small window, like very small windows where you can barely fit your hand, where they give you food and they close and communicate with you, the guards. And then they throw the trash bag inside my cell and say, "You going home?" Chris, I cannot describe to you my feeling. I just start like crying uncontrollably, just like a child. I was in a hole, in a pit for 8 months. Of course, I lost count because later on I knew that I didn't know the days, anything, even though I tried to keep them. And I lost like 10 days in all. And I don't know where they went. And because sometimes I didn't know days and nights because I was put in the cellar underground. And I was saying, now, what came to me? I was saying I was a pure person. I was a good person in prison because there was no opportunity to do bad things in prison. Like bad thing, I mean like bad mouthing, making like unsavory comments, like criticizing your mother's food, and so on and so forth. And I was like, I felt I was close to God, and prison is like death. This is like another life. But now I'm going back to life. How would I do in life? Would I be still a good person in real life? And then I came, and then I went to the bathroom, but I didn't want to tell them I went to the bathroom because I didn't want them to change their minds. So I didn't want to the bathroom. I said, let's go. And now they put me in a plane to Mauritania, and I will just go to the bathroom and do whatever I want to do. I'm not going to screw this up. I came there, they took me, all blindfolded, and you cannot see anything. And then they took off the blindfold. They start to give me back my belonging, like my driver license, some money I had, and ID card, stuff like that. And they told me to sign money because they told me to control, and I was shaking like this. I couldn't control my shaking. And then I took the pen and signed. I didn't count anything. I just said, whatever. I agree, whatever, because I'm going home. I don't care about anything else. Then I saw the date, 31st of July 2002. So that's when it hit me that I had another date in my head. And no, I saw 20th, but in my head it was 31st. Sorry. And then I knew I wasn't really in my right state of mind. And then they took me and they laid me on like a stretcher. And then they pushed me into some kind of truck because I could feel the moving. And then I heard after, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes or so, I heard the roaring of engines. I know I was in airport, in some kind of airport. And I was almost exploding because I need to go to the bathroom really bad, so bad. And I was like, it's so painful when you need to go to the bathroom and you cannot. And they start to play music, to dumb down my hearing so I don't hear them talking, conversing. And I love the music really. It was Abdul Halim Hafez. It's very legendary Egyptian singer. And it felt like I'm back to life. I'm back to life. And then it took a long time. I don't know, at least 1 hour, at least, if not hours. I don't remember, but very long time. And then someone started to touch me. And then, men handle me, like touching me everywhere. And then they start to cut open my clothes with scissors, stripped me naked completely, except for my blindfold and my earplugs. They start to put me in diapers. And then it dawned on me that I was not going home. I was going to prison. Very bad prison life. And it came back to me, those like movies and those like documentaries I watched in Germany about rough American prisons. And I was telling myself, I'm not going back. This is it. This is like, I'm going to die in a prison in the US. I'm going to be forgotten. I'm from Africa. This is bad for me. I'm an Arab, which is very bad. And I'm a Muslim. 3 strikes I could count in my head. And I wouldn't be treated fairly. And I was aware of the anger too of the United States. And I just was like praying that my family doesn't see me ever on TV paraded in chains, because that would hurt them so badly. And then I took it upon myself from that moment on, if for some like miracle, if I go back to life, I will be a good person. Why? Because I start to regret what I did in my life, because that was like a moment that I was living life. And the only thing I regretted is not being nice enough. Why did I criticize my mother when I didn't like the food? Why did I make this comment? Why wasn't I nice? Why wasn't I courteous to people enough? And I took it upon myself to be nice. Actually, I never regretted not having money. I never regretted not having this very hot chick. I never regret any of that. I never regret not having a house. None of that. It didn't matter to me. What mattered to me, why wasn't I nice? Because nice, you don't need money to be nice. You don't need wealth. You don't need anything. You don't need a look. You don't need a background to be nice. You just be nice, And a lot of people ask me oh, you said you forgave people, everything. This is a bunch of BS, because I wouldn't forgive people. But I would say you didn't have my life, because to me, I know what matters, and I'm doing myself a favor. You don't know how much favor I'm doing myself and how selfish I am. You don't know how selfish I am. I'm very much, serving my own interests when I say I forgive people, because I want to be a nice person. And to be honest too, Chris, I like Tony Robbins. I like his speeches a lot, and so motivational speaker from the US. I read his book, everything, and some of the good thing he said that stuck with me, that your biography does not dictate your future. You can always have the future you want. And this is all easier said than done. It's very easy for you and me to say, I want to be a nice person and I will be a nice person. It's not easy, because circumstances keep pushing your button all the time. And you have always to center yourself, come back, said, how can I be nice without hurting myself? Because that's the threshold. And so they put me in this diaper, and they took me out, and they put me in clothes after the diaper. They took me out, they stretched me on a stretcher in a plane. The plane started to move, took off, that by your ears when they crack, pop. I was, just feeling so bad for myself, why this is happening, I don't know what was going through my head, but I want to pee so bad. And the diaper are for peeing, but I couldn't pee in diapers. I couldn't. This is not I say something, I say subconscious bitch, because the way we were raised, has so much bearing, and it's almost like a burden, on us. I was always the way I was raised, it's not, you have always to be very private when you want to pee. You have to be away from people. You have to be in certain place to do that. And now I know this does not work, because I have to pee, but I couldn't. The plane kept flying, and then they kept to make it worse, they kept like, like sprinkling somehow water in my mouth because they want to keep me hydrated. This is like a kidnapping team. They know what they were doing. I was not their first client, so. And they were not rough with me. They did not beat me. They did not treat me rough. Even the guy who was like giving me water, he was just like tapping like nicely on my shoulder. Like first time, like I feel that someone is feeling my pain somehow, but there is no talking. And there is something in me, and I share this with you, Chris, that just it dawned on me that I'm very easily subdued. Like a normal person would say, guys, I need to pee. But I never said that. I was like mesmerized in this world of silence and darkness. I couldn't see anything. It was total darkness. And no one was talking. And then I was completely integrated in this like very weird world, and I accepted it to my own detriment, And then I was just dying, And then because when you start like treating people in this way, like this is not even didn't start torture, but we are very vulnerable. And I'm saying this because later on I learned that 2 detainees died. 2 I know of died on record. And so I think after 5 hours or 6 hours, I don't know, I was just in my head. Plane start to lose altitude. I could feel that. My whole body could feel that. And then it touched down. And then I was taken, and then I was put in a chopper. I know that because I heard like it was so loud, and the way, it must be a chopper, so there was no other way. And then they put me in a truck. Truck was good because they sat me, and then 2 people pushed against me, and I felt the warmth of a human being in a very long time. 8 months, the first time I feel the warmth of a human being. And I was so cold. And then they spoke a language I never heard. I start hearing them because they spoke very loudly. This was like some of the Afghani languages that I was not familiar with. And then I thought, but it was Philippines, because I don't know, just in my head, I said, I know were like military base in Philippines. I was thinking that I was going to land in Germany, Ramstein, and then taken. No. But this was not German language because I understand German, obviously, because I studied in Germany. So, and then I said, this is Philippines. So, and then they took me, and then they set me on my knees. And then for the first time in a long time, I peed like a champion because I felt alone. And when I peed, I was a free man. I didn't care about where I was. I didn't care what happened to me. Just the relief of the pain. That's just like giving birth, after a very long labor. And they start like to strip me naked. And then they took the blindfold You know, like your instinct when they strip you naked, you always put your hands on your private parts automatically, you know, and then they start to, you know, well, the weirdest thing that I saw, like they come to me and then they pull my hair, you know. Later on, I understand it's for DNA testing, and so and they start interrogation, like, you know, put me back in the blindfold, and then they start interrogation, like destroying chairs beside me, very loud, you know, just like in movies, you know. But they didn't beat me. They just like were asking me stupid questions because they were not briefed properly who I was and where I came from. That I think the CIA plane just dropped me, and then there were like a lot of different agencies and private contractors, and everyone wants a piece of you. Everyone wants to be the guy who is like cracking the bad terrorist, quote unquote. And because they were asking about bin Laden, where he was, and where Mullah Omar is the last president of Afghanistan. And I didn't know there was a war. I didn't know they took over Kabul. I didn't know none of that, but their questions just gave me information after information, like just like watching the BBC. So where did they go? Because they thought I was picked up from the battlefield. That's to the at least they must have thought that. I was saying, what? Uh, I don't know. I swear I don't know. It's just very broken, no resistance, nothing. And they took me to this room, very alone, like with carpet, one room, and then they took me to another room. And I I saw I don't know how, but I saw the feet of a detainee moving. And I was, oh my God, this guy being tortured, I'm sure, you know. You know, just like crazy stuff coming to my head. And then there was no bathroom in the cell. So I peed on the floor, everything on the floor. And they took me for interrogation. Again, must have been night. You know, those like people is makeshift prison in Bagram. Don't know. It's makeshift. You know, but you know, Americans like they always like wherever they go, they build this little America right away. So I could hear like rock and roll music, you know, people talking very loud, you know, and eating all the time. All the time. There is no like no break. You know, some kind of like energy bar, you know, or drinking. There is no pause. You know, not like sitting there, okay, let's talk about something. No, we have to eat something. And that's the first thing like that came to my mind. And I was like very curious about Americans. I hear a lot about Americans. I see a lot about Americans on TV, on movies, you know, but I never really met Americans. You know, this was like my. So they sat me there. There was this very young Arabic translator, you know, she's native born American. You know, I could tell from the accent she is not a native Arab speaker, obviously. And then she asked me, what languages do you speak? It's a standard question because they want to organize their resources. I said, and then I said like German, French, and so everybody was what? I said, yeah, I said German. They said first lie. And then they called a guy, CIA guy by the name of Mishael, German American. And then he starts, he starts speaking German with me, and I responded him, and he told him he speak better German than I. So my English was not good enough to carry on an interrogation. So it was very basic, yes, no, and so on. And then he told me one thing I never forget. He looked at me and say, Freiheit macht frei. Nein, Wahrheit macht frei. Wahrheit macht frei. Meaning the truth will set you free. When he said that, I had this picture recalled in my head. Arbeit macht frei. Work will set you free. And I never forget this sign because I saw it on German documentaries, everything over and over and over. And I knew the people for whom this sign was meant did not go free. I mean, they died actually, and that was like a very bad omen for me. And I didn't say anything. They assigned me to him. He was a very nice guy, like nice for the circumstances, because when you say nice or bad, it's always compared to something else. Because the first thing he did to me, said, give me your password. That's the friendliest thing that they could tell you. They come take you, Chris, to the police, said, you are on Instagram, you are on YouTube, I need your password. I need to see everything you have. He would be like, what? Who are you? And then I told him, to be honest, I know I will end up giving him my password. I know there is no way around it. And I also, as an IT person, I also know they have way to see everything without me giving them my password. Back then I was Yahoo email, and I said, I start to get, to get him on my side. I said, this is, against the law. This is my pride. He said, look, I give you two options. Either you give it to me or I take it by force. And I said, okay. Then I wrote him my password. My password is very easy. First name of my wife, followed by her birthday. Very easy. And I never had like strong password or anything because there was nothing interesting in my email or anything. But it's so painful, to see your like privacy violated, and there is nothing you can do. This is like mundane to a lot of people, but to me, it's not mundane. That someone like tells you this is like just if someone tells you, Chris, take off your clothes, and you would say, no, I won't, and then they force you to take off your clothes because this is your privacy, this is your home, this is the door closed. But anyway, and then he started explaining to me the process, and he told me one thing. He said, you are guilty even if you are not guilty because there is no way out of this. He said. So make peace, he said, with that fact. And he also told me that I was going to be taken to Guantanamo Bay, which I didn't know. And he explained to me, and I was so happy because this is like he said, it's under American control. And I want to be under American control because I grew up, when I was younger, I used to watch Law and Order and Married with Children. So Americans are funny and Americans respect the rule of law. So I was not afraid that they would find out anything against me because I didn't do anything to them. And they took me to Guantanamo Bay, and like first about 9 months, it was like interrogation. It was very painful, but I was not heavily tortured or anything. But they decided I really need to talk to them, they thought, to confess to something. They put me on this like enhanced interrogation technique, a euphemism for torture. And starting from May of 2003, I was officially rolled in the program. And it was really painful. Like no sleeping, you know, and interrogation 24/7, sexual assault on 3 occasions at least, I remember. I was beating until I broke my ribs. This all on record. And my gallbladder was destroyed. Later on, they had to take me to the hospital and remove it. And I was just a mess. I was just a mess. But Chris, when they this all didn't like quote unquote break. One day they came to me before the boat ride, the infamous boat ride, where they took me in a boat and drowned me and beat me, all kind of beating. They came to me and said, "We are going to arrest your mother, put her in men-only prison, and there is nothing we can do if she gets assaulted." And then I lost it. I said, I was like, whatever you want, I will do. And there is no limit to what I would confess to. And then they like coached me. They said like, let's say you would make an attack against CN Tower, because they want to make it logical with the time, because I was in Canada. And I never heard of CN Tower, by the way, with all due respect. And I never been to Toronto in my life. I said yes. Then I start writing, and they said, you need to write it. And I wrote it. I put the names of my friends as my accomplices. They said, you need to sign it. And I did sign it. And this was like so like weird, because they want to put me on put me to death. They need very solid like confession, because I was the first candidate for death penalty. And the guy came back to me, start like First Sergeant Shally came to me. He said, you are a good guy because you confessed everything. You can negotiate like 30 years. And I was like, listening. I mean, what world? I was thinking, what world does he live in? and like he was like giving me the good news. The good news to him is me staying in prison for 30 years instead of being put to death. And I was just like mechanically just sitting with my head, yes, thank you so much, thank you. And he was saying how in America they respect people who confess everything. And I was like, yes, everything. And then after all this, biggest challenge, this is the irony, that my confession was very big challenge to the intelligence community, because it contradicted like everything they know. They know I didn't do anything. They just wanted me there to give them information about my cousin, about people I know, about people who go to the mosque, etc. They never thought I did like I planned to attack. Like at least the CIA knows that I didn't do that, and the FBI, the guy who was lead investigator in Millennium Plot. He just told Canadian press, La Presse, the other day. He said he went in person to Guantanamo Bay and told them, Mohamedou has nothing to do with Millennium Plot. You can do something else, because I know this case, because I'm interrogating the guy, the main guy. they had this obsession, So they know, but the problem, they don't exchange information. So the person who was like interrogating me, Richard Zuli, a cop from Chicago, he was a private contractor. He was working, you know, he was uh, he was a private contractor hired by DOD. That is the defense Department of Defense. So like the military, and he just wanted results. Turned out he was a very bad cop indeed, because he put innocent people behind bar, some of whom 20 years, who turned out to be innocent. So that's his magic, that he could break up like innocent people and make them confess to something they didn't do and put them in prison. So he was not important to the CIA to share with him information, or the FBI. So, and I was not important to the CIA or the FBI to save me and said, hey, this is an innocent guy. What you do? So it was not important to them. So, and then they came back to him. They said, this is BS. He didn't do this. So. And he almost went crazy. And he came back to me. He said, they wanted you to make like lie detector test. And I was so scared, because I know how it works. I said, but when I do it, the confession will go a waste, because I cannot lie on. And then he said, no, okay, just, he was like very upset, but he said, no, you just give the answers, truth. And then I said, okay. They put me on this lie detector, and I cleared myself 100%. And I passed. I said, I didn't do anything. I never done anything. I never thought about doing anything against you. And this like put a hold on my case like forever. So they never took me out of torture, but they start like tapering it.
I was going to ask how they slowed down from the enhanced interrogation back into normal life. Before we go on a little bit further, I just want to go back to the sleep deprivation. How do they deprive you of sleep during that 70-day enhanced interrogation period?
Okay. So they have 3 shifts of interrogation, and then they just take you. When the next shift, when this shift is done, they start a new shift. They take you out. And if you go back to your cell, the time you are in your cell, they keep banging on your door. Okay. The first 70 days was like that. Did not stop. After the ride boat, I lost consciousness, and I don't know what happened in that period. Like 2 or 3 weeks, I don't know anything. But they came back to sleep deprivation, different technique. They call it water diet. They give me water every like about 2 hours or 1 hour. They force me to drink like 3/4 of a liter, and then I keep just going to the bathroom all the time, no sleep. And I asked Yoda one time, why don't they just like keep me awake standing? He said, no, it's more painful with water, because you feel like we are not doing things, but you just cannot sleep, because giving you water is a good thing.
So they make you the architect of your own torture.
Correct. And he is right. It's so painful. Like every time you close your eyes, you want to go to the bathroom. And I developed a very, very like this habit, very painful habit, that even though there is no water, I keep waking up during night, going to the bathroom, sitting. Sometimes no water, nothing. I don't want to be, but just sitting there. This took me many years, in prison to get somehow under control. And now, when I get depressed, it comes back to me right away that I want to go to the bathroom. The first reaction, I want to go to the bathroom. And yeah, feel free to interrupt me because I'm going on this
No
monologue.
What's it like being sleep deprived for 70 days?
You become a different person. I mean, like you live in a different world, like dimension. You are just waiting to die, kind of. And I took sleep for granted, like before. Just so. And now, after that, I understand what when people in pain they cannot sleep. I 100% understand, how painful it is. We just need to sleep. We just need to take a break from like working, but we just like I was just like almost like an animal. I didn't even think about it. I just go to sleep. That's it. I have like a magazine near my bed or something to read, that put me to sleep. Then I just go to sleep and then, you know, wake up in the morning fresh and so happy. And but now I'm very conscious. I said, now I'm going to sleep. This is really good thing. When I'm not depressed, I feel so good about it. Like my favorite place in the house, my bed. That's why I insist to have a TV in my bedroom. And this is a big fight with my wife because she doesn't want TV. But when she is not around, I put back the TV.
But now she knows. Now she knows that if she watches this podcast, she's going to know that you're sneaking the TV back into your bedroom.
Absolutely. And I'm not going to be controlled by anyone. So.
You're not going to apologize.
No,
the cells were kept really cold as well, right? This was another method to try and break spirit.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there are like other technique like I didn't mention, of course, because this was all very well orchestrated and studied, like torture techniques. And I have to say, Chris, American people are not like that. American people are good people. They're very generous people. They're very, they have a lot of empathy and they love people. They love life. They love to live. We just, there is something I don't have any answer to. Why do like good people engage in very bad behavior, to get along and to go along with other people, this is like human, like unfortunately is our nature, whether you are Christian, Muslims, atheists, Buddhists, or whatever. We know that happens to all people. They always engage in horrific stuff, at least by omission or not like reporting, and go along. And so they, you were talking about the cold room. The cold room is really very painful because I have only like the prison uniform and overall, No, two pieces. Sorry, two pieces. And there is nothing under them. Nothing. Light. And then they put me in this cold room. And they crank up the AC that they have there. And I just keep shaking. And I talk to Ranika because I always try to negotiate my way out of torture. I tell them, you are doing so bad thing to me. I didn't do anything. And then I told Ranika, you're killing me.
Who's Ranika?
Ranika is a Navy lieutenant who was a part of the team. And she was like the person who was like the nicest in a way because she smiled sometimes. And, so I give you a very good wisdom. If a girl smiles, she's not going to give you her number necessarily. So she just smiled, and I thought this is a good person. So I said, you are killing me. I'm dying. She said, no, you are not going to die because we have doctors who have everything. She was very wrong because, Rahman Gul died in the cold room. And Dali War died in the beating. It took him only 24 hours, and he died. And because we are human beings, we are very, it takes so much to save one's life, but so little to take out a life. And this is like us.
Was that lieutenant the person who cried when someone came in and took you out of the interrogation room? There's a scene in the movie where one of the interrogators, who I think is a female, another group come in and take you away, and this is for the mock execution, which I think I want you to get into. Is that the lady, the one that smiled at you?
No, that was Mary. She was also, I mean, she participated in torture, and especially like sexual assault. But she was always confused, and she was not sure she was doing the right thing because she kept like talking to me, said, you know what? We don't give a fuck because this is like, we don't care if the world doesn't like us. And then I know this is not healthy for us, but we're doing it anyway. So she was very like conflicted, because as if she was like trying to convince herself she's doing the right thing. And she came back to me after this episode, like you said, of mock execution and waterboarding. She came to me. First, they stopped her because that was a very bad behavior, like to them, like showing like any kind of
compassion.
Compassion was a red line. But they brought her, I don't know how many months, but they brought her back, and she said she was so happy that I cleared my name, that she was really happy, and she watched with me a movie called Black Hawk Down. She brought it, just another movie showing American greatness and bravery, and just the right kind of movies. And I was not actually watching the movie. I was watching her reactions to the movie and that of the guards. I just want to know how this propaganda like works on people, a guy told me last night, I was invited to iftar, an old person, a wise person from this country. He told me, I need a mirror to see my face because my face is so close to me, I cannot see it without stepping back. And, American people have a lot to be proud of. American people are very inventive. They are the most powerful country in the world. and they never lost a war in the last, like, I don't know, since the Civil War. And yes, it's very hard to see themselves as like just regular human being and be down to earth, everything. I'm a Mauritanian, and in Mauritania we think we are the best country in the world. And you say Mauritania, no one knows what Mauritania is, so, let alone Americans. So, and I was watching like Black Hawk Down. Black Hawk Down is about American uh, soldiers in Somalia, and yes, they shown that they were fighting alone without anyone helping them, people stabbing them in the back. But the question that popped to my head: what are you doing in Somalia? This is very far from home. But I couldn't say anything. I couldn't criticize. I just was watching, and Mary was telling me, look, those brave people, and so those Marine, and everything is nice. The movie the cinematography was good, and American people look very handsome, very well dressed, and the Pakistani guy who wouldn't give them assistance, the bad guy, he didn't look good. He had a very bad accent. He couldn't even speak English. This is all like, going, on the side of American people, the good people, the beautiful people, the well-dressed people, the people who go everywhere to save freedom. And yeah, that's why I was watching Staff Sergeant Mary and not the movie.
Just seeing if the hypocrisy was registering on her face at any point.
You said that. I'm not going that far.
But that's fine because I'm British, so I can say whatever I want.
Okay, you are the smart guy.
Correct.
I know that.
I heard that some of the guards also suffered from PTSD after they'd worked at Guantanamo Bay. And obviously we're seeing the level of conflict here. Some of the interrogators, some of the people that were looking after you, even during the process, they're being conflicted about their own motivations, about why they're doing what they're doing, whether they should be doing it. And that doesn't surprise me. I remember thinking afterwards, would I be able to willfully do something which after the event would give me PTSD? But then I realized that's what war is. Soldiers willfully go to war. They sometimes don't realize what they're doing in the heat of the battle. And then afterwards, that's when they pay for it. And that's when the PTSD comes. And I can kind of see how that would occur with the guards. But I can also see how they would be conflicted as well.
Absolutely. I remember this young man by the name of Jedi. His name is Jedi. He came to me, and he was a good guy. And aside from participating in torture and he gave me cookies. No, not cookies, muffin. I remember this blueberry muffin is my favorite, and he smuggled them to me, and he just comes to me, and then he just put them, open the bean hole, and put them and go away. Then I take them and I ate them, and then it was forbidden to talk to me, and then he came to me when there was no one around, or when his friend, always two guards, like watching me all the time. Light doesn't go out, so all the time. And I just want your audience to appreciate life, to appreciate like having a bedroom and being able to put off the light, and no one is watching them. They go to the bathroom, no one is watching them. They change their clothes, no one is watching them. Everything I did was watched and recorded for the future, so American could take out now and put it on TV, national TV. So And just thinking about it makes me appreciate life and appreciate privacy. And he came to me one day. I told him, Jida, I want to ask you a question. He said, yeah. I said, why did you force me? Why did you prevent me from praying by force? And you know, this is like, you are a Christian. And so he told me, yeah, I know I'm going to hell, but what do you want me to do? I was like, but you are in a free country. Your country, you are a free man. Like, I understand if you're dictatorship, but he said, yeah, but if I don't do this job, they give me a shitty job. He says, take me, and this is a good job. Like, I don't know why it is good, but I think it pays more, I believe. And then we end up, after my release, he ended up contacting me. He's the one who initiated contact. All of the guards initiated contact. I never contacted anyone because I don't want them to think I'm trying to locate them or anything. So all of the guards. And like you said, all of them were very like, they showed contrition and they apologized to me, and they really hurting a lot, because it's just not normal that you inflict pain on other people unless you are very sick, and then you think you're gonna be free after that. I don't think, unless you are a psychopath, you are going to suffer pain.
The entry price to hell isn't that high if all it is the difference between $15 an hour and $30 an hour. That's quite a cheap entry price to get yourself into hell, committed to eternal damnation for the sake of $15 an hour.
I know. It's amazing, but unfortunately, like I said, this is a cross-cultural phenomenon that we as a human being, and I know your show concentrate on the big picture, how, and when we don't learn from each other, we cannot grow, And one of the very big lesson, I was very like local in my thinking, I'm going to be very upfront with you. So I thought, okay, I'm, like, look at us, our culture, Muslim, we are the best people. I'm in Africa, Arab, African, best people. And I always looked at the interests of Muslim and Arab. But when I went to this painful experience, the vast majority of people who stood by me, who showed compassion, are not Muslims. They're Christian, they're Jewish people, and they're none with no denomination at all. And then I thought, okay, I need to look at us as human beings instead of force-fitting people in very narrow identity, because I don't believe that if you say a Muslim, this is an identity that is like enough description. But Muslim could be a man, could be a woman, could be a liberal, could be a conservative, could be black, could be white, could be feminist, could be non-feminist, could be a European, could be non-European, African, could be and so on and so forth. I mean, so on and so forth. And when you start like counting the things that we share, you and I as human beings, even though we grow up in a very different circumstances, we will find so many identities that we share, that could like prevent conflict and promote understanding and peace.
After the enhanced interrogations finished and the results of the lie detector test came through, it turns out that they know now, the US government know that you're not guilty. You're held for a further 9 years without charge. You go through this entire litigation process, you release your book, and then you eventually get out. So not only have you been through before Guantanamo, all of this horrible treatment at the hand of Jordanians, and you're in Cyprus and all of this other stuff. You go through Guantanamo, you go through the enhanced interrogation, then that's dragged out for nearly another decade. Then you finally get released. How is it that you don't have resentment or hatred towards that situation?
You know, Chris, I saw death many times. I faced death many times. And the only thing I regretted when I was about to die was not being nice. You know, not being nice. That's the only thing I regretted. I didn't regret not having money. I didn't regret not being a bad ass, not having money, not marrying this very hot girl. The only thing I regretted, not being nice. And I took it upon myself to be as nice as possible to
Why?
people, make a difference, because that would make me happy, and that because everybody will die, I mean, one day, and I want to go in peace and as a happy person. I don't want to have regret when I'm on my deathbed. And today, you know, I met you, you know, and so I want you to have good memory about me. That's all I want. And I don't want fake memories. I want you to have good memories that I can only think good thing about this guy. Because we have in our tradition, we have a saying, say in hadith, that's the saying of our prophet, people decide who go to heaven. That's a saying. People decide who go to heaven because their testimony are the one that takes you to heaven. And I want good testimonies, not fake, not faking like niceness. No, I want to be nice because I give you an example. People who hurt me the most, one of the people who hurt the most is Richard Zuli, a lieutenant from Chicago. Very known. Look him up, you find it. He's an old man today, very angry man. I don't want him to suffer because nothing good is going to come out of him suffering at all. I won't get any money. I won't get any status. I don't get any power when he suffers. And I hate to see people suffering anyway. And you know, there is this girl, I think she is Canadian Lebanese, and she said, I forgive you, not because you deserve forgiveness or you ask for forgiveness, but because I want to live in peace. And it's very hard to find forgiveness for someone who hurt you so badly. And this is for everyone. I mean, look in your life, look in your friend's life, a very bad breakup, someone who betrayed your trust. This is very hard to forgive, you know. But when you come to terms, you know, with that, and when you decide to forgive, it's just so rewarding. Because, I mean, people called me, and people, you know, are like asking me as if I was a doctor because they want me to help them heal. And this makes me really feel very good. You know. And I tell you another thing, which is a little bit evil side of me. So there was this interrogator. She was so obsessed with my case. You know, the guard called her tons of fun because she was on the heavier side of the scale. And she was so obsessed like with my case. And she always believed I'm a bad guy. And then this journalist asked me to talk to her. I said, no problem. And then she talks to me, and then she said, I just want you to answer one of my questions. I said, no, I don't have to answer any of your questions. This is not interrogation room. She said, but yeah, you are not innocent. I said, I'm not claiming anything. I don't have to prove anything to you. So, and her like, you know, agitation really gives me some like satisfaction because she couldn't come with peace, and I just want to be friend with her, and I want to move on, but she wouldn't budge after so many years in Guantanamo Bay. She wouldn't move forward, and I found out either way I will be happy. If you want to open your heart and be my friend, I will be your friend. If you want to stuck in Guantanamo Bay, it's fine with me too. Because like the journalist was saying, why don't you answer? I said, because I don't want to. I want to be in charge of when to give an answer and not to give an answer. And she's her. I told her it's fine to think I'm not a good guy, but as long as you don't torture me, that's fine with me. And today you are not going to torture me because we are 5,000 miles apart, kilometers, about 3,000 miles. And it felt good, honestly.
Well, you're exercising your freedom. After all that time where you didn't have your freedoms, you weren't free to choose your own actions and your own agency, and you are. I think even the most virtuous amongst us are still at the mercy of our biology, right? We can't get rid of the desire for a little bit of retribution, even if it's a little snipe here and there, a verbal game, whatever it might be. I have a friend who said, thinking about what you were talking about there, about the fact that your captors, some of them they couldn't relinquish their anger and their distaste. And he says that anger is like a virus. So it's been passed from person to person. Someone was angry, and then they've displaced that anger onto somebody else, and they've displaced that anger onto somebody else. And it takes an incredibly strong person to be a bookend, to be the end of a bracket, to stop that and to say, I don't know who you got it from, and I don't know who gave it to you, and I don't know who gave it to them, but I'm not going to decide to pass it on. I'm going to be the end of this anger.
So beautiful, Chris. So beautiful. I learned a very good lesson today. This is something I will not forget. And this is so helpful to know it consciously. You know that you need to stop it right there because it's your responsibility, like paying it forward, kind of. This is beautiful, honestly.
Tell me about your situation now.
My situation, so I'm trying to pick up the pieces and I'm trying to be happy and I'm trying to help as many people as possible in my life, paying it forward. I have on the civil side, I'm married. I have a child by the name of Ahmed. He's 2 years old. My family lives in Germany. I'm still trying to join them, but the stigma of Guantanamo Bay is still like chasing me. And I'm trying to promote my movie. And I was invited by Benedict Cumberbatch, all of the crew, but I couldn't attend because the UK denied my visa. And this all the stigma of Guantanamo Bay, because they have this circular argument. If you had been to Guantanamo Bay, you must deserve to be in Guantanamo Bay. And I completely understand like that the security forces, like in a democracy, they have the sacred job to protect the people. I understand that completely. And I understand that people commit violence for many reasons. One of them is ideological reasons. But I just want the people in your country and in the West to understand that my family and my friends in Mauritania, they just want the same thing that you and your family want. They want better jobs, better life. They want peace. They want longer life, better healthcare system. That's what we talk about. We don't sit and think about how to hurt people we don't know in the United Kingdom. We don't think about that. We understand you are doing better than us. Being a free country for a very long time, it's a very good thing. We still fight for the most basic freedoms in this part of the world. And instead of your leaders like encouraging like authoritarian regimes, we want them to encourage more democracy, more freedom, so that we could be like you have the same freedom. So I work for that. The rest of my life, I work for freedom. I don't want my son to be kidnapped. I don't want my son to be hurt. I want him to live a free life, where he could choose where to go, what to do, without fear from retribution because he has different opinion or the government thinks that he's a bad guy. I work a lot on human rights and I do webinars and I'm trying to be, just to lead like a good life, a happy life, welcoming everyone, not caring about political colors or political ideologies.
Man, the world is so much of a better place for having you back in it. I adore your message. I think that the peace and the wisdom and the serenity that you bring to a situation that's still cursed with all of the stuff that you went through it's mind-blowing. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And I want everybody that's listening to think about the challenges that they have in their life and about the things that they're resentful for, about their housemate that didn't take the bins out last night, or about that guy that always parks in their parking space at work, or my coffee's a little bit cold, or whatever it might be. These things, or the people that scorned them in the past. I have chips on my shoulder. I still have chips on my shoulder from teachers in school or from the way that other kids spoke to me or all of this sort of stuff. If you are able to let go of the situation and the experiences that you've been through, there is no excuse for why someone like me, living in the life that I have, in the country that I have, with the politics that we are fortunate to have. You think about the politics, think about how vehement and aggressive and forthcoming and self-righteous people are in America and the UK about our political system, about the fact that someone wants a slightly different type of tax on companies, income tax or business tax to another person. And again, we compare all of this with what it is that you went through. The contrast effect is such a powerful incentive when we're exposed to the best of everybody else's life on the internet and on social media every day. It's very easy to forget the normal blessings that we have. The ability to go to the bathroom without being watched. The ability to go to sleep in a dark room that's the right temperature. Your freedoms, the fact that you can see your family, that you can see your mother when you want, how you want. Man, the world's a significantly better place for having you back in it, and I'm very, very glad that you're here.
Thank you so much, Chris. You are a very lovely person, and your message is a very beautiful message. And I'm a better person for having talked to you today and having been your guest. And we're gonna see each other. I'm going to go there and bring down the house.
I love it, man.
In a positive way.
I love it. Yeah, exactly. Careful about saying that, okay? God, it started again. The Mauritanian, everybody needs to go and check it out. It is available free to stream on Amazon Prime if you've got it. Also, your book will be linked in the show notes below. Man, this has been outstanding. Thank you so much for your time today, brother. Thank you so much.
I have another book that came out in February by the name Ahmed and Zarga. Is a novel, a short novel about Bedouin life. I'm going to send you the link.
I love it. And that's about camels, right?
Yes. Yeah, you know about it already.
And don't you worry. I know about it. I've done my research. Mohamedou, man, I hope to see you in the UK very soon.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that, then press here for a selection of the best clips from the podcast over the last few months. And don't forget to subscribe. It makes me very happy indeed. Peace.